I think in all of 40k, the biggest cause of arguments and anger is the Ultramarines and Guilliman for a lot of reasons. Mainly the fact that they're the poster boys that you see in literally all the marketing, and they're one of the more stock standard kind of characters and army. You need that in a company. I understand their position, and hot take here, I also think the Ultramarines are boring. However, for an even hotter take that no one said before, the Primarch, Roboute Guilliman, is very cool in actual current timeline 40k. After he's revived, dope character. Before that, eh. But other than that, I still think if you really dig deep enough, there's a lot of stuff in Guilliman that is really cool, and I understand why people like him. I don't agree, but I can see it. But who exactly is Roboute Guilliman? Guilliman is the statesman, the empire builder Primarch. He is honestly the kind of ideal of what the Emperor built the Primarchs to be. And very much on the surface, you can see the Roman inspiration. Specifically, too, he's very inspired by Caesar Augustus. A lot of people say Caesar, no, this is full Caesar Augustus. Much like the actual historical figure, he had a pretty dope father figure that built an empire that then left him the bones of it that he would then expand. But when the Emperor would eventually find him after crash landing on Macragge, he found a star empire. Guilliman had systems with fully working economies, trade. He had star systems. So the Emperor, when he found him, was fucking impressed with all the hard work this man put in, and it worked really well, immediately giving him the Ultramarines. And it's this part in particular, I have a personal pet theory that I've yet to be disproven. So I firmly believe, you in the audience, if you can look at Guilliman and be like, that is my favorite Primarch, I adore this man. You have 1,000 hours in some grand strategy of 4X game. You play Stellaris, you play Hearts of Iron, you play Europa Universalis, one of those games. If Guilliman is your favorite Primarch, post your hours. And as well, I'll also say, Guilliman is a pretty decent guy. He's still a Primarch, so he still is, 40k's definition of a good guy. But he had the benefit that very few Primarchs had, in that he had parents that liked him and loved him truly. The only other two I can put in this list is Corvus Corax and Vulcan. These three are the only ones of if they're conquering your planet, you're in for not a horrible time. Because you have, the other people on this list, Conrad Kurz or Angron coming after your planet. When Guilliman conquers your planet, he leaves it in a better state than when he found it. He does not leave until all the defenses are back up, an economy is set in place, government is working, that's when he leaves. And you know what? Surprisingly, he was really fucking efficient about this. Alongside the Luna Wolves, who beat his record, Horus was the special child in this family. Guilliman had the second most conquered planets during the Great Crusade. He did fucking great work. And conversely, really interestingly, Lorgar kind of tried to do the same thing. When Lorgar was conquering planets during the Great Crusade, he would very slowly convert the entire population to worshiping the Emperor. And also, I guess, arguably left these planets in a better state. The difference is that Guilliman was faster. Legitimately, that is the main difference. And eventually, when this got to be a problem and the Emperor finally decided to have the no religion talk with Lorgar, he had a chance to, by the way. He had 2 weeks, he was on Monarchia, seeing him get worshipped and said, fucking nothing. I don't even like Lorgar, I just feel like I have to say that. But really interestingly, I don't see this idea talked about a lot. So the Emperor took Guilliman and the Ultramarines to Lorgar's home planet and burned down his favorite city, ordering the Ultramarines to destroy everything, raze it to the ground, psychically made Lorgar and the Word Bearers kneel before him and gave him the ass beating of a century. Now, there's a specific idea here. Guilliman was not fucking happy about this. He was like, damn, Dad, you just ruined my relationship with Lorgar and all of his kids. What the fuck? Why did I have to do this? None of them were happy carrying out the order to do this either. I think there's a very specific reason. I think the Emperor made Guilliman do this as a fucking warning. Because right next to Lorgar's strategy is Guilliman, the statesman, the empire planner. This was his moment of being, you step out of line, I'm burning Macragge. Stay in your fucking lane, I'm running the Imperium here. Really quickly after this, the Heresy took off, and the traitor forces really fucked with Guilliman, like real bad. They immediately called that the Ultramarines are such a major force for the loyalists that they have to deal with him. They have to distract him, which launched the Shadow Crusade and the Battle of Calth. Very important events. I'll make videos on them at some point. At the main point, his forces were really fucking distracted in the fact that Ultramar system kept getting sieged, a lot of stuff kept happening. It was rough. It got to the point, eventually, after these battles ended, that there was such a giant warp storm and some galactic events that Guilliman firmly believed that the Imperium fell. He believed that the siege already happened and the Emperor was dead, as well as some of the other Primarchs that were over there, specifically Sanguinius and Lionel Johnson, who he brought into Imperium Secundus, and they had like a triple government, I don't know what it's called, this is the word for that, where they all led his contingency plan, because of fucking course he had a contingency plan for this, of a second form of the Imperium in case the Emperor died, of course centered in Ultramar. This wouldn't last super long, because Lionel Johnson had a funny old thing hitch a ride on a ship, since Conrad Kurz was living in his walls, and then immediately scuttled aboard Macragge and started wreaking havoc, because of course he did. He was a little goblin, like he is, causing uprising, murdering random people, fucking with Guilliman's mom, like really threatening him, going to murder her. A lot of stuff. Lionel Johnson wanted him dead. He kept trying to push for Guilliman. Hey man, I know you love this planet, but what if we impose martial law and let me bombard the areas I know he's in? Civilian casualties, pff, this is fucking Conrad. And Guilliman kept saying no, until eventually, through an actual on-foot assault, Lionel Johnson was able to bring in Conrad Kurz for an official trial at Guilliman's orders, to where Conrad fucked with everybody by destroying Imperium Secundus by just saying the information, hey, you know that Lionel Johnson was nuking your city? I would know, I was there in the explosions. To where Guilliman was fucking pissed. Kicked him out, the thing collapsed. But luckily, they were able to get a message through the warp storm and found out, oh shit, Dad's alive. And they made their way as quickly as possible to Terra, to where the traitor forces were shitting their pants. When they got word that the Ultramarines were coming, they had to accelerate, which actually this specific reason is the reason why Horus opened up his flagship for the Emperor to board. He had to rush the siege a little bit, to where Guilliman came in a little late. By the time he got to the Imperial Palace and to Terra, damn, Horus was already dead. The Emperor was like almost dead. A rough spot, which immediately Guilliman, like he always does, took up leadership. He became the Lord Commander of the Imperium and started doing his damnedest to reorganize. Firstly, making the Codex Astartes, which separated all of the legions into smaller chapters, because he wanted to make sure that no one legion had the power of, you know, all the fucking traitors during the Horus Heresy. He wanted to make sure the heresy never happened again. Some agreed, some didn't, some need convincing. I'm not gonna get into that, it hurts. But eventually, all things have to end. And he, during his normal excursions, murdering traitor forces, all that he could find, he came across the Emperor's children and Snake Fulgrim. Where Snake Fulgrim, multi-armed, had a fuck ton of just poisoned blades. Like a touch of it, just evil Slanesh poison. During their duel, he did stab Guilliman in the neck with one of these blades. Obviously, the stab part, walked it off. The poison, though, that stuck around a little bit, to where he had to be put into stasis because they just didn't know how to heal him. There's no way, so they just froze him and hoped that later someone would figure it out. And luckily, someone did. The man known as Belisarius Cawl, who figured out, after some time, he found out a way to revive Guilliman by making this essentially like life support armor that constantly regenerates the damage from the poison. Because that's like the only way they could bring him. With the help of the Ynnari, and during a Black Legion raid on Macragge, right after the fall of Cadia, they got Guilliman back. And like Guilliman always does, immediately took command and saved Ultramar, like got the Black Legion out of there, and then started to take stock of the Imperium. This was a pretty bad moment for Guilliman, not gonna lie. This is a man who really upheld the values of the Emperor during the Heresy. A Primarch, he upheld the Imperial truth, believed that humanity deserved to explore the stars, conquer everything, destroy these horrific creatures that live in the galaxy, and immediately erase the horrors of Old Night. And then he emerges from stasis 10,000 years later, seeing the Imperium as like a mockery of what his father built. Religious dogma, horrible, evil authoritarianism, and fanaticism, superstition everywhere, completely spitting in the face of his dad. He was not very fucking happy about this, but just had to deal, honestly, which is what leads into the fact that Guilliman has ultra depression. The fact that he is stuck in a system he fucking hates, but knows he cannot fix. And of course, just to make this a little worse, right after he was revived, he went back to Terra and talked to his dad? Best way I can put it. He spoke to the Emperor as best he could in the screaming, fractured voices of the Emperor with the psychic 1,000-person battery that he was being charged with, to where the Emperor bombarded him with thoughts that ranged in, I guess, tone and contradicted each other. On one hand, calling him like his favorite son, and the other calling him a number, a tool, a product, or calling him the hope of the Imperium, and on the other hand, calling him a liar and a disgrace, left him in a bad state. But the main takeaway from this scene is he realized that the Imperium has to be like this, because if the Imperium did not believe that the Emperor was a god, it would collapse. The only thing holding it together is the hope and worship of the Emperor. Fucking rough stuff. And this is actually a very interesting part of Guilliman and the part of why you should go read the Dark Imperium books. They're really cool, and they have a really main thorough line of Guilliman dealing with the idea of everyone worshiping the Emperor like a god, to where he has obviously some issues with this, in the fact that he doesn't believe the Emperor is a god, but does 100% see the fact that he is powerful enough to be called one, but also has a really, really hard time getting rid of the idea that the Emperor is a god. So Guilliman, in this really funny scene, I love this scene, in the most Guilliman way possible, he breaks down in his head the arguments of why the Emperor is a god. He goes like, gives himself a theoretical, and then practically breaks it down. Literally, theoretical. The Emperor is just a really powerful guy. Practical reason, he is a god. Like, mathematically going through it. And the part I really like about this scene, Guilliman can't disprove it, so he starts making emotional arguments. His end point for this is that Emperor is just a powerful man, and a bunch of fools mistook power for divinity, and then angrily to himself, because why in the world would a man like this deserve worship? He's not happy with the Emperor. He thinks he's a shit dad, because he is. And that's what I think is fun about Guilliman. He's a lot to fucking deal with. He has to deal with a breaking Imperium, a bunch of High Lords who are gunning for him to die because they realize that Guilliman is taking their power away. He has to deal with the fact the Imperium is split in half in the universe. He also doesn't know fully that Lionel Johnson's alive. I hope that he learns. I do genuinely want to see them meet again. But all in all, that's Guilliman. And I do honestly think that Guilliman is the best Primarch that they could have revived first. I'm, for one, personally pretty down for Primarch returning. I think it's a cool progression of the storyline, and with how 40k is, you can kind of carry on the storyline for as long as possible. I don't know. It's too expansive of a universe. Guilliman is the perfect one. He is the only fucking guy who would stick around to fix it. He's the only one with the knowledge to fix it. I love Dorn. He's not as just governmentally minded as Guilliman is. So yeah, that's Guilliman. Not my favorite Primarch. I think he's a little boring in the Heresy, but post-Heresy, in the Revival, pretty fucking sick. Hot take, I know. But that'll be it. So if you like this, like, comment, subscribe, that stuff, join my membership, and see ya.